Wait a minute, go back on that. What did Colonel Lucia just say about Negan and Croat?
She threatened to call the cops. I ain't no molester, Trevor.
Shut up before I molest you, alright? Now is there anything else?
Yeah, Bruegel, it looks like you missed out on one hell of a party. Alright guys, this one's going to be doing a review today, this one's going to be doing a review for today, this one's going to be doing my weekly review for The Walking Dead Dead City. This is for Season 2, Episode 5, titled The Bird Always Knows. Or for some reason it's called The Bird Always Know. Not sure, but anyway. This episode, so... yeah, we're in Season 2B now of Dead City, we're in the second half of the season, and, I gotta say, for the first time this season... I left with a lot of problems with an episode. It wasn't bad. It definitely was not bad, but it wasn't great either. It did things that I felt like were really strange. It felt very abrupt at times, but then also gave me moments that I really enjoyed and I really, liked. So, I don't know, it was a strange episode for me. I would just simply call it middle ground. It's a middle ground episode. It's not like the worst thing I've ever seen. It's not also a great episode either. It's just simply there. That's kind of how I look at this episode after watching it 2 times over. That's kind of where I'm at with this one. I watched it last night. I watched it again today. That's kind of just where I sit on it. It's just simply there. But, again, like, that is unfortunate because this season was on a streak, man. I mean, if you saw some of the ratings I was giving it, like, this season was doing really good, this episode, I don't know. The main plot with Croat and, Negan and stuff, I loved the hell out of that plot. I thought everything regarding the Croat this episode in particular was awesome. And I guess we'll start with that and then we'll kind of move on to the B plot. So, in this episode, we have the Croat. He's, putting on like a suit and stuff. He actually has a really cool looking suit too. Good job on him. He's got that drip, you know what I'm saying? He's got that, he got that aura, And anyway, he's basically, wandering around in his red suit. And all of a sudden the city starts getting powered down. And we wonder who the hell did this, who knocked out the friggin' power. And I kind of guessed it right at the beginning. I was like, this has to be Christos' crew, Well, you kind of get that knowledge later on that, yes, that was Christos' people that did that to the power, to the city, stuff like that. So, that was kind of Croat's suspicions. And he's on to them, you know what I mean? And he wants to take them out for what they did. So, you get a big Croat episode in this one where he kind of tries to tell the Dama that he wants to kill Christos, he wants to do all this stuff, and she's saying, listen, you are not leaving, like Negan, he's going to deal with this, I don't want you leaving anywhere, and the Croat in this episode is basically put in his place. He's like a little kid, he wants to go after these guys for what they did, and Dama's saying, no, you know what I'm saying, you're not going to do that. So Negan shows up, he kills a few walkers with Lucille, he shows up, he gets surrounded by Christos' men, and I really like this scene. Where Negan walks in, he goes up to Christos, you got Christos there, he's got like his dog with him and stuff, and he's kind of talking to him and stuff. And then randomly you've got Christos that kind of says, he's just like, yeah, like, we're not joining your fight, like I didn't do nothing, And he's like, you really think I'm going to join you? You know what I mean? You're not on your stage anymore. You're not on your, on your own land now, you're in my house now, And Negan's like, yeah, I get it, And I kind of thought for a minute there, I was like, is he going to electrocute Negan with Lucille, kind of do back what Negan did to him? He doesn't do that because before he gets a chance to do anything, we have kids that walk into the room. And I like this twist a lot because you actually find out that Christos is actually kind of an alright dude. He's just looking out for these kids, you know what I mean? He's just looking out for these families that he's responsible for. And the reason that he didn't want to join Negan's fight to begin with is because he was protecting these families, So I like that addition to the story. I think that's really good. It kind of reminded me of, you guys remember the Vatos in The Walking Dead Season 1 where, you saw the Vatos and they kind of were doing their thing and then, all of a sudden the old lady came through and then it kind of just, the intimidation level just kind of left, you know what I mean? I like that. I like the realism behind Christos. I like that we gave, a little bit of a motivation on why he didn't want to join and why he was so gung-ho about not doing it, you know what I mean? And it makes sense. It really does. I thought that was really interesting. And Negan, being Negan, sees the kids and he's like, I'm not gonna do that, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna do anything like that. So, yeah, I enjoyed that. I thought that was really good. And Obviously in the end, Negan didn't want to do anything. He decided to kind of restrain, but then Croat comes in and screws everything up. He comes in there against the Dama's word and takes out Christos and his people based off the looks of it. It looks like Christos died. I'm pretty sure that was his death scene right there. So, yeah, rest in peace, Christos. Croat is an evil man, and then he kind of clarifies towards Negan, later on. He's like, yeah, I didn't kill the families. I didn't kill the, the women and the children, I just killed the head honcho and some of his men, and that was it. And you can tell that Negan's kind of upset, Negan's not really happy because, he was betrayed by, Croat, and he was trying to work things out, and then Croat went in there and messed everything up, So, yeah, Croat, man, showing the more and more how evil he is and how just savage he is, in case you forgot, because he's absolutely hilarious, and sometimes it distracts you from how intimidating he can be. This man is a villain. He's a force of nature, and I like that they remind you of that this episode. I thought that was really good. And I like that Negan is kind of, playing on the Croat's, emotions, like, he's saying, yeah, like, all she cares about, all the Dama cares about is her rat, more than you, more than me, like, no matter what, I got your back, he's really, like, really making sure that Dama, or that the Croat feels like Negan's on his side. Negan's really working the Croat right now, and I like that. I think that's really good. He's trying to kind of distract him and trying to make him think that he's on his side, when really he's just buying his time, So, yeah, I like the conflict between the Dama and the Croat this episode. I like the shouting matches they had back and forth. I thought that was interesting, and I like that it showed that Croat, is trying to kind of do things differently from the Dama. He went, behind her back, and he did these evil actions, and now Negan's kind of trying to fake it till he makes it. It's really good. It's a really good dynamic. I think it was really good. But then they go kind of stupid on us, okay? Now, this is something I did not like. I like the scene. Now, this is interesting. I like the scene for the Croat when he goes in there. He, finds the Dama's rat that's dead, which you later reveal that Negan killed the rat because he was trying to add more conflict towards these two. So Negan killed the rat to set this whole thing in motion. So I like that. He killed her pet rat, in the process. And then the scene got weird to me. You got the Dama that's kind of sitting there, and she's like, you are nothing without me. And then you got the cry, you're nothing without me. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh man, I would have written some better dialogue there. I'm not gonna lie. And then they fight it out, and then she kind of falls, and then the place kind of lights on fire, and then she's dead. She just leaves her for dead, which, again, for Croat's character, I think it's a good scene. I think for Croat, it makes sense that he would do that he would leave her there. That's completely in character. The part I don't like about it is the death of the Dama herself. That felt really, really unresolved. Like, I thought the Dama's character was going to be bigger than that. You know what I'm saying? Also, can anybody answer me this? What happened between Dama and Herschel then? If she's a wrapped up character, what happened between Dama and Herschel? In episode 4 when they met up with each other, What happened there? Herschel just, left? You know what I mean? Like, what happened in that scene, And again, we know that she cut, Herschel's toe off, and we know there's scenes in the trailers and promotional material of her doing that. So they're going to wait until after she's dead to show us the evil actions that she did. I'm not sure if I vibe with that, y'all. I'm not going to lie. That was weird. The Dama's death kind of fell flat. I'm not going to lie. I don't think it was the right way of killing her off. I don't think it was the right time to kill her off. I like it for Croat's character. I think it's a good scene for him because it makes sense for him. But in terms of story-wise, killing the character like that, when I felt like the Dama was just getting to her peak, yeah, I felt like they missed the mark on her. I'm not going to lie, which is unfortunate because I like the character for what she had, but I can't lie. I'm a little disappointed in the way she went out. It felt very quick. It felt very all of a sudden. And it felt like there's story pieces here that were missing. What happened with her and Herschel? What happened with the toe? What happened with this and that? There's things that are missing in the story here. And I got to admit, it's driving me a little crazy. So, I don't know. I didn't like her death that much. I'm going to be honest. For Croat, I think it was good. But in terms of what it does for the story, I felt like they falsely built her up. And then they kind of killed her like it didn't matter in the end. I don't know. It's like they were going too far to try to make Croat the main villain, which again, Croat's a good villain, but I feel like they missed the mark on the Dama. I'm not going to lie. That's my first big flaw this season. I think they've missed the mark on the Dama a little bit. I think the way they built her up and the lack of context that we still don't necessarily have on her yet, it felt like there was so much more for that character, and it felt like they kind of cut her short. You know what I mean? So, I'm a firm believer that they should have shown her cutting Herschel's toe off in episode 3. Now, I will say, this episode unfortunately kind of flawed episode 3 a little bit for me too. Because I'm like, okay, well, wait a minute. Why didn't we see those flashbacks? Like, and the thing is, you're going to show her cutting his toe off later on this season. Yes, but at that point, she's dead. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. That was a weird storyline for me. I don't know how I felt about that. I know I don't like her death, though. I did not like that. I thought that was rushed to hell. For the Croat, like I said, it was good, but the scene itself I found was goofy, and her death scene, it wasn't working for me, man. It was not working. So, I don't know. That was a little dumb. I'm not gonna lie. Now, speaking of dumb, okay, unfortunately, this episode with the B plot really lost me. With Colonel Lucia. I mean, I just can't with this friggin' character. I can't. Like, she's worried about the law and mething and all this other stuff, and then randomly this episode, she turns on Maggie and she turns on Armstrong. She says that apparently Ginny was the one that informed her that Negan is not dead, and that, you know, Armstrong lied to them, basically lied to New Babylon and stuff like that. And Ginny is all of a sudden working with Colonel Lucia. What? What? You know? Like, that was stupid as hell. Like, Ginny doesn't even know these freaking people. This little idiot, this little stupid kid freaking turns on Maggie and points a gun in her face. And she's like, oh, yeah, did you know? Yeah, I've made my mind up. For one thing, the kid hasn't talked for a season and a half. And now all of a sudden she's doing this. Yeah, honestly, kill this stupid character off. Ginny, I want her out of the story. I don't like her. This episode proved it to me. They really are just messing her character up. I don't care. I do not care about Jenny. She is stupid to me. And when she turned on Maggie, I was at my wit's end. I can't lie. Now, Colonel Lucia has them locked up. And now get this, okay? This is when this episode just got really stupid. Colonel Lucia has them locked up, okay? They let Maggie go. All right? They let Maggie go while keeping Armstrong and Herschel captive in the other rooms. You really think that Maggie would not come back for her boy, that she wouldn't find some kind of reason to come back for her boy? They just let her go. Like as if Maggie's not going to go in there guns and blazing. And then, of course, lo and behold, there she goes. Literally, a couple scenes later. She's in there. She's rushing through. She's trying to get to Colonel Lucia, okay? And then this is when this gets really stupid. She goes into the cell where you've got frickin' humming lady. She's like telling all these stories about these birds to frickin' Armstrong. I'm like, oh my god, man, seriously, I don't care if the bird flew, I don't care if the friggin' bird went up in the sky, I don't care if the bird was in your frickin' shoebox, I don't care if it's Woodstock from Snoopy, okay? I don't care. I don't care about this bird, okay? That doesn't make a difference to me, okay? Stop sitting there telling me these pointless stories about crap I don't give a frig about, okay? So, I couldn't stand that. That was ridiculous to me. And then Maggie comes in there and saves Armstrong, right? And then here comes Armstrong, friggin' saved from the cell. And then all of a sudden, Maggie's like, I'm gonna go find them. Shuts the door and leaves Armstrong locked in there. Like as if she didn't see him or something. You have the door open. Armstrong is your ally. Get him the hell out of there. Build your forces up and use multiple of you to take out Colonel Lucia. No, Maggie goes on a solo mission this episode. She literally sneaks up behind Colonel Lucia as Colonel Lucia is talking to Herschel about Negan. And then randomly you've got Maggie that's like slowly walking up with the knife. You know what I mean? And then Colonel Lucia turns around just at the last minute for Maggie to put a knife at her throat, and then boom, there comes Jenny with the frickin' gun, this kid with the frickin' gun. This franchise, man, I'm telling you, the franchise with the little kids and the stupid gun, okay? I mean, we lost Nick to this type of writing on Fear the Walking Dead. We've lost John Dory to these stupid little kids with these friggin' guns in their hands. And here we go again, repeating the same crap. Here we got Jenny, obsessed, gun-happy Jenny. and she's all about, I want to kill Negan, and Maggie, step away from Colonel Lucia. Isn't Colonel Lucia the one that threw you in a frickin' arena in episode 1 and almost killed you, you stupid little girl? Like, seriously, what are you doing? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, she's sitting there pointing a gun towards Colonel Lucia, even though Colonel Lucia was the one that threw her in the friggin' arena to begin with. Why is she on her side? Maggie was the chick that brought her in. Maggie was the reason that she had a bed to sleep in for the last year. She's done nothing to Jenny. She's literally taken her with them. Why is Jenny working with Colonel Lucia? Give me a reasonable explanation on why Jenny is working with Colonel Lucia after Colonel Lucia literally tried to get her killed multiple times. It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. And it makes less sense that she turns on Maggie. Now, this gets even worse. They bring them out for public execution. You get the frickin' leader of the frickin' tribe or whatever that gets hung. She's killed. She died really quickly, too. Like, usually in a hanging, when someone, like, puts something around you and they let you free, you're like, for a little while, you know what I'm saying? You're sitting there, you know? But in this episode, you've got frickin' her. They cut her loose, and then it's just like, you know, like, what the frick was going on there, you know? And then, oh yes, but then they bring Maggie to the thing, and then they put the rope around Maggie's neck, and then what happens with Maggie? They're able to just take her off, and Maggie's like, for a good while, too, and then all of a sudden, Jenny has a change of heart. All of a sudden, Jenny has a change of heart, and she saves Maggie. What is this writing? I don't understand it. And like I said, realistically, Maggie would be dead there. Or at least near death. You know what I mean? But then the tribe leader, they freaking get her. You know? Like, keep it consistent with the way hangings go, okay? Keep it consistent in the writing, alright? I'd highly advise y'all to do that. You know what I mean? Oh, boy. This stupid plot. So, anyway, Colonel Lucia then takes Herschel for ransom. They run into a horde of the dead. And you got these stupid idiots, like this tribe. They're like sitting there. The walkers are literally coming in right behind them. And what are they doing? Like, seriously, if I'm in a crowd, I don't care what my freaking standpoint is. I don't care what group I'm in, okay? If there are walkers coming in behind me, I'm not going to sit there with my stupid little candle or whatever the hell they have in their hands, whatever wizard crap they have, and they're like, like, that doesn't work that way, okay? I don't care what I believe in. If there are walkers behind me, you bet your ass I'm turning around and I'm knifing the friggers, or at least pushing them off me or something if I don't have any kind of weapons. Ain't no way I'm just going to stand there and be like, you know, I was like, it's so freaking stupid, man. Honestly, that was so dumb. It was comical. It was comical is what it was. And then Colonel Lucia gets killed by the walker version of the tribe leader. She bites her on the neck, and there goes Colonel Lucia, dead as a doorknob. So, I mean, at the very least, I'm happy Colonel Lucia's dead. That character started to really fall flat for me. I don't understand what the frig they were trying to do with her. It didn't make any sense. You know what I mean? It didn't make any sense. Horrible plot. That whole thing with New Babylon, they hated it. I hated everything about it. It was terrible. The tribe feel like they're absolute filler too. I gotta say, this episode made episode 3 take a big hit. Like, a big hit. What is the point of that group? Seriously, what is the point of that group now? To die? Like, what was the friggin' point? I don't get it. So anyway, Colonel Lucia's dead. In the other plot, Dama's dead. Colonel Lucia, whatever. Dama, what are you doing? And then you got Herschel that kind of explains the whole thing to Maggie. He kind of explains what Dama did, but we still don't have all the context behind Dama. That's why you shouldn't have killed her character off like this until you're done giving us context on this character. You know what I mean? That's writing 101. You don't kill your villain while they're telling their story, and there's stuff missing from the plot. Significant stuff, crucial stuff, the point of Herschel's character type of stuff in this season, you know? I don't get it. But then anyway, at the end of the episode, you've got Bruegel that shows up for like 2 seconds. Bruegel's literally barely in this episode. He shows up, he's like, looks like I'm late to the party, you know? And I'm like, oh, honestly, Bruegel, save us from this storyline. But they didn't do anything with him. Bruegel's big next episode. And you know what's funny? Episode 6 looks good, but this episode, yeah, 6. 6 out of 10. I wasn't vibing with a lot of it. There was things I liked, so I'll give it a 6. There were things I liked in this. But the Dama is what took me out. That's what took me out. And then the plot with Jenny and Colonel Lucia and the flipping back and forth and Maggie not killing her and then leaving Armstrong in the cell, and there's just some weird stuff. This episode was odd. This episode reeked of Gimple a little bit. It reeked a little bit of Gimple, I'm not gonna lie. I have to look up who did this episode. Anyway, not my episode, not a bad episode, but not a great episode. It was heavily problematic in my opinion, and it really needed to do things better. That's kind of where I stand on it right now. That's kind of how I look at it. You can let me know what you think in the comments. Did you like the Dama's death? I just don't think we should have killed that character off in that way in this episode. I thought we lacked a lot of just knowledge, and I think they could have done things better, simply. I think they could have. There were some good things, but there was also some stupid things this episode. So, mixed bag this week, y'all. That's how I'd look at it. So, anyway, if you're new to the channel, guys, and you enjoy videos like this, guys, make sure to click subscribe so you don't miss any of the videos. Make sure to follow me on Dan's Reviews Official on Instagram, guys. And, of course, I'll see you guys really soon for more videos for the Walking Dead universe. Enjoy the rest of the day, guys, and peace out.
Born in the dark alleys, city of concrete. Dan's reviews blowing up, never taste defeat. Walking Dead dissected, every plot twist beat. World gone mad, TV junkies hit a treat. Typing up scripts, marathon through the night. His opinions hit harder than a street fight scene. Every episode, brain sharper than a knife. He's the beacon of critique, shedding TV light.